Baba Yaga in the picture is a Slavic witch, a wise mother. In fairy tales, she may help a fine young man who comes to her for the advice, but she always tests the hero and then provides magical assistance to him if he succeeds. This motif goes back to a matriarchal period when a woman carried the main family priestess responsibilities. Since the most ancient times, boys aged between 10 and 12 were brought to a priestess for the warrior's initiation. This ceremony was a real act of courage, dexterity, and endurance. The initiation process is often likened to simultaneous death and rebirth, where a young boy had to die in order to be reborn as the warrior and the hunter. Yaga is the gateway keeper between the world of the living and the world of the dead. The skull that you can see signifies immortal memory of ancestors. You can see God of the Fire in the picture. Western Slavs called him Snitch. He is lying on the ground in a curled position. This is a sacred ancestral fire, breath of the universe, its pulse. This fire is the beginning of everything. When light in the wood splintered, people said, "Sacred fire, please give us your light." The fire, as a symbol of spiritual purity, can't stand anything bad. The ancient Slavs believed that truth in the world has a spirit of fire, so it has to be manifested respectively. And it's no coincidence that even nowadays in Russian language the words sincerity and spark mean spiritual impulse. When actions of a man and his words come from the heart, if it is an honorable man, people call him sincere person. It was considered that you can purify the soul by jumping through the fire. It was an ancient rite. Snitch is fire, heat, and the flame of love and life. But Snitch also is a god of funeral fire, which turns everything in ashes. People lit sacred fire, wishing that pure human thoughts and true desire reach the sky and come true. With that purpose, they gathered around Snitch. In the picture, you can see people standing around the fire, reflecting on something. God Veles possesses the most ambiguous and interesting character. He is a patron of all animals and referred as the god of animals. He is responsible for the prosperity of a family and of a whole state. Unlike other gods, Veles can move between the worlds. He knows the past, the present, and the future. In the picture, Veles is represented in real world, riding by the hidden temple on a fierce animal. Today we have a saying, the one who knows the past controls the future. Therefore Veles is also the god of wisdom and poetry. In honor of Veles, people put on animal masks and sheepskin coats on Christmastide and during Pancake Week, which is celebrated on the day of the vernal equinox. The whole world and Mother Nature rejoice the ascending sun. In this picture, a handsome young man is traveling on amber rays of light with his loyal friend, the fiery horse. They are traveling across the heavenly ocean. The Slavs named themselves Dashtbog's grandsons. Our ancestors felt a close connection with the great god progenitor. A horse is loved and worshipped by people. It is regarded as the companion of the sun. Horseshoe has been considered as a symbol of good fortune and prosperity since ancient times. It was believed that the horseshoe found on the ground was dropped by the sun horse, and the person who took it would be protected from evil and would get happiness. Even nowadays you can find carved horses on the roofs of wooden houses. They are ancient amulets. They protect household and maintain their relationship with the gods' progenitors. There is a magic building on the river bank. It is amazing. The magnificent multicolored carving covers it from the top to the bottom. This is a real observatory. You can see the sun and the moon above the entrance, the heavenly bodies which help to determine the passage of time. The whole world greets the sun. Birds sing a hymn to Chislabog. This is a character of the ancient Slavic mythology. Modern researchers believe that he was managing time and chronology and was a deity of calculation and mathematics. The main character in this picture is the Prince Sviatoslav the Brave, who is compared to Alexander the Great and Caesar. Sviatoslav was a warrior, the Prince of Kiev and Rus of the second part of 10th century. He is famous for his numerous campaigns in the east and the south. His greatest success was the conquest of Khazaria, which was one of the strongest states in Eastern Europe for centuries. This painting depicts the battle between Sviatoslav's army and the nomads. They trapped the warriors and killed them all. After that, nomad princes made a bowl from the skull of Sviatoslav. They thought that by drinking wine from this bowl, they will obtain his wisdom and courage. Karachun is the master of frost, snowstorms, and blizzards. It is a force of nature which shortens the day and lengthens the night. In Ukraine, December 21st, winter solstice, is still called the day of Karachun. Karachun does not like those who shiver and complain about the cold weather. He grants health and rosy cheeks to cheerful people. In the fairy tale Moroska, Nastenka receives gold and warm court as a gift for her patience, while capricious Marfusha goes back home on the sleigh drawn by pigs. In order to win Karachun's favor, the Slavs were feeding him an oatmeal kissel and porridge. They literally placed a dish on the threshold and invited Frost to try it. Nowadays, Grandfather Frost is one of the most anticipated guests in winter. Makosh is the goddess of fertility, protector of crops, destiny, and good fortune. She was one of the most popular Slavic deities and the great mother goddess of the East Slavs. Makosh is the protector of women's work and destiny. She is the patroness of spinning, weaving, shearing of sheep, and she also protects women at childbirth. If we look at other mythologies, Makosh has much in common with Demet, the Greek goddess of fertility and agriculture, and Norse goddess of fertility, named Freya. Morana is a Slavic goddess of wilting and decay, but it does not mean that she is like a demon or devil. In the universe, life and death exists as a single whole. If not for Morana, then nature could not have a rest, and sooner or later it would become lifeless. There is no death in nature. For example, the corn seed dies as a seed in order to be reborn as an ear. The earth falls asleep for the winter in order to be reborn in spring with the new power. The circle of life and death is necessary for regeneration and continuation of life on Earth. March 22nd is the day of the vernal equinox, when spring is at its peak. On that day, people play fun games, make pancakes, the symbol of the sun, and burn stuffed effigy of Mara. This ritual symbolizes the end of Marana's time, with her frost, snow and blizzards, and it is considered as her farewell ceremony. Ancient Slavs believed that nature is a living being, that earth, water and fire have its own spirits, and they also showed respect to plants and animals. If gods in the sky changed one another, Mother Earth was always the only one for people. She gave them food and gave life to everything that was in the ground. Its whole life, Earth is growing wheat for the people that live on it. Neither small blade of grass can grow without handful of earth, nor can the Russian nation live without Mother Earth that gives food. Sun rays warm earth, rain supplied with water. Summer sky hugs it tenderly, and everything helps Mother Earth to bear fruit. In winter, Earth gets cold and falls asleep. In this picture, Mother Earth is getting white, and snow covers fields, giving them a peaceful sleep until spring. It's impossible to get rich harvest without that winter rest. Here, you can see silver frost instead of golden leaves. There is ice on the river, so the winter has come. Mother Earth moves gracefully, leaving footprints on the snow, and winter sun illuminates her way. Perun is the god of the thunderstorm and lightning. He is the rainmaker. The cult of Perun as the god of war and arms has arisen in Russia with development of military fortifications. Soldiers have chosen Perun for the valiant force and power, as embodiment of power and military valor. Perun was the same as Zeus, the god of sky and thunder in Greek mythology, and Thor, the hammer-wielding god associated with thunder, lightning, oak trees, and strength in Norse mythology. The word Perun goes back to an era of the unity of Indo-European speaking people, the most ancient ancestors of the Slavs. Therefore, the name of Perun is similar to Perjanya, the name of Indra, the king of gods in Indian Veda. In the history of painting, Viktor Karelkov is the first to use the image of the virgin warrior Perunitsa, which can be compared with Valkyrie, the warrior from the Norse mythology. On battlefield, Perunitsa encourages warriors, heals their wounds, and gives them healing water to drink. Perunitsa rushes across the sky in a chariot drawn by 3 horses, the solar companions of the gods. When they appear, the darkness fades away. The images of strong and fearless women warriors can be found in Russian fairy tales and heroic epic songs. Now you can see God of the Wind. His name is Pozvezd. The artist, Sergei Panasenko, painted the god calm and certainly not severe. Pozvezd knows everything on earth and helps weary travelers, blowing away the clouds and giving fresh breeze in a hot day. Pozvezd is a son of Stribog. Legends say that he is a strict god of storm. He has severe appearance. His hair and beard streams and breeze. Fog and clouds come from his mouth. Storms and hurricanes are his companions. Possessed whistles and makes noise. You can hear it everywhere, and nothing can resist its power, neither man nor beast. Even centenary trees fall because of this strong wind. There was a temple dedicated to god Possessed in the field near ancient Kiev. When this god moved around as the vortex, he could have a rest in that temple. If Possessed saw people honoring him, he could show sympathy for them and stop his destructive actions. Possessed was considered not only as god of storms, but also as a ruler of the sky. The Slavs believed that he is responsible for every change of the wind, good and bad, helpful and harmful. And that is why Possessed was asked about sunny days and saving from bad weather. Radagast is the deity of battle glory and war of the Western Slavs. Radagast is represented as an armed man. The name of this god means something like dear guest. Since old days the Slavs were famous for their hospitality. Guests are different, and therefore it's necessary to meet them in different ways. Visitors who come with kind heart must be assured that they are safe and welcome. In the 10th and 12th centuries, Rethra was a political center of the Slavic Radarians, one of the 4 major Western Slav tribes, located near the territory of modern city Mecklenburg. It was also a major worship center devoted to the cult of the Slavic deity Radagast. Sergei Panasenko was born in 1970 in Astrakhan, graduated from art school and moved to Moscow. This artist is passionate about Slavic culture. He is interested in symbols and images. Besides, Sergei Panasenko professionally engaged in heraldic arts and creates family emblems. In our museum, there are several of his picturesque paintings, and this is the first one. The artist came up with the plot of his work long time ago. He made his first sketch in 1985. There is one cafe in Astrakhan whose design was based on that sketch, and after 25 years the picture was published. He managed to convey diversity of the spirit of the sea. In ancient times, it was called as Vodan or Voda, with the stress on the first syllable. At that time, Vodan, the sea spirit, was a patron and host of sea and river. You can often meet the king of the sea in tales about Sadko and folk tales. His home is an underwater palace. He controls the sea currents, controls the fish, and drive them in nets of the people who are under his protection. In this picture, you can see Vodan supporting the ship with the ensign of Imperial Russian Navy. Russian Navy guards our water borders from our mortal enemies since early times, Turks and Swedes. This is a sign that forces of nature help Russian people in their deeds. Stribog is the supreme ruler of the winds. He controls the entire world. Mountain peaks will be dusted with snow by his faithful servants, breezes. The sea and the ocean will become harsh, and fields will be steered by them. In medieval Russian poem, The Lay of Igor's Raid, the author calls the winds Stribog's grandchildren, who blow arrows from the sea. Stribog was worshipped as a fighter with evil. In the medieval West European manuscripts and Russian wood gods, the wind is portrayed as a menacing man blowing a horn. This artist is using that image. Svarog is called the progenitor because he created the earth and gave people everything they required to be happy. The earth was made with the magic altar stone, which Svarog chopped, and its sparks gave birth to the new gods. Svarog taught people how to make cheese and curds, so this food was considered as the god's gift and was sacred. Svarog gave people heavenly fire, the sun, and the terrestrial fire to prepare food and to get warm. Besides, it was considered that Svarog created plough and yoke. Therefore, Svarog was identified with Hephaestus, the god of the blacksmith in ancient Greek mythology. The fire in Slavic tradition played a sacred role. It's a divine gift in the heart of a home. The Roman people had the same idea, expressed in their worship of penates, household deities. Steam baths are well known in many European countries. Only in Russia steam bathing tradition, banya, is a subject of national pride and an attribute of Russians. This tradition is known for more than 2,000 years. The bath since the old days is considered as a sacred place. It is transitive between the worlds, and that's why Slavic women gave birth to their children in a bath, because it was easier for a child to pass from the spiritual world into our tangible world. Even today we clean body and soul. We expel every possible disease, and we gain strength to face life's challenges. In the most ancient times, the spirit of the bath also had a female image. This spirit was called Bath Granny. It was represented by an image of a kind old woman, the patroness of midwives, which could cure any disease and look after mother and her baby. Vyacheslav Nazaruk is a well-known Russian artist and cartoonist. He is the creator of cartoon characters such as Cat Leopold, Little Mammoth, and Little Raccoon. In 1980s, Nazaruk was commissioned by the Ministry of Culture to create a series of monumental canvases in giclée technique. The artist created 2 paintings of the triptych The Tale of Igor's Campaign, Boyan, and Battle for our museum. The Tale of Igor's Campaign is a priceless work of ancient Russian literature. It is beautiful in verse, written boldly and vividly. It was 12th century. Prince Igor led Russian warriors into the wild steppes. At first, fortune smiled at Rusici, but then 40 Polovtsan Khans surrounded his warriors. The battle was fierce. Burning arrows flew, swords clashed, and spears cracked. Both sides fought day and night. Russian warriors fell in the battle, and Igor was captured. The ones who managed to survive brought home the sad news. The world in Slavic tradition is full of spirits who live around people. The house spirit is called Domovoi. He is a male spirit, presented as a small creature with beard and usually with a body covered with fur or hair. Domovoi is considered to be the true master of the home he lives in. He usually helps people who live in the house with household chores, but this help is not always for free. Domovoi likes to be treated well. He likes milk and bread and likes to hear nice words about himself. This spirit can do a lot more than just help under such conditions. He can even guard the home. In the picture, the house spirits see the signs of war, injured warrior, and big trouble, which nobody can prevent. The main character in the picture is the Prince of Kiev, Sviatoslav the Brave, zealot of paganism, who is remembered for numerous victories on battlefields and for the strengthening and expansion of his lands. As the legend says, in times of campaign, Prince Sviatoslav slept on the grass, using his saddle as a pillow, and ate horse meat roasted on spear's tip. In the picture, Sviatoslav is sleeping, and his loyal warriors are sleeping beside him. Morning dawn comes to Sviatoslav in clouds, in a dream, or maybe in reality. And she drives the chariot of the sun's master, Dashtbog. The oldest tales had been told and retold for generations before they were written on paper. We find supernatural beings and unusual experience in such tales. That's why the following stories relate to the pleasure in which the borders of the tangible world are overreached. Since the old days of antiquity, telling tales was a way of conveying ideas of love, mercy, and kindness. But tales did not have to be stories about fairies. They were like a code of a human law. The painting depicts the magic night, the shortest night of the year, June 21st, the summer solstice. The old legend says that you can find the blooming fern that night, but the blossoming flower disappears in a moment. Snakes and monsters are guarding the flower at its blossom. A brave person who gets that magic flower would become a prophetic man. He would understand the language of plants, birds, and animals, and would be able to read minds and to make somebody to feel love for someone. The legend of this extraordinary flower did not appear out of nowhere. In the heart of summer, all plants accumulate special healing powers, absorbing energy of the sun. People say that herbs and flowers gathered that night have healing powers. Prophetic singer Boyan strums the rumbling strings with his fingers. In the tale of Igor's campaign, the storyteller, named as Avela's grandson, the god of wisdom, Boyan appeals to the future generations with words: "Put your feet into the golden stirrups to take revenge on the offenders of Russian land for Igor's wounds." After campaign against Cumans in 1185, in which the Prince Igor's army was defeated, people in Rus were in sorrow. It was the last battle between the princes of the Kievan Rus and nomads. The Kievan Rus, the largest realm of those times, splintered into many principalities, and brothers said to each other, "This is mine, and that is mine too." Boyan's message is still relevant. Only a strong and unified country can repel its enemies. The sun is a heavenly body that was loved and worshipped by the Slavs. It is an ancient ancestor, a source of life, light, and warmth. It is the symbol of truth and kindness. During the day, traveling on horseback, the sun illuminates our world. At night, the heavenly body illuminates the underworld and travels on the sea and ocean by a boat carried by water birds, geese, ducks, and swans. The images of ducks are often found in peasant utensils and women jewelry, such as duck pendants. The Slavs attributed special power to such amulets. Birds The companions of the sun are the first messengers of spring and the symbol of awakening world. In folk tales, heroes turn their praise to the sun in difficult life situations, and the deity helps them. Sunshine saves from evil, disease, darkness and cold. Radiant light is good for health, and it gives us energy and lightens the mood. Once upon a time, there was a wonderful musician, and the girl Svetlana fell in love with him. However, this lad did not share her feelings. In an outburst of desperation, Svetlana burned his shepherd's pipe. The shepherd fell into a deep sadness and withered away. He was buried on the river bank, and after that, the reed has grown at that place. It sang sadly with every blow of the wind, and birds sang along with it. Lel is the god of love and tenderness. His image can be found in Russian spiritual songs, wedding folk poetry, and lullabies. A baby is called Lala, Lalechka, and that sounds are similar to the name of Lel. In folk tales, swan-like maidens are very beautiful creatures possessing seductive and prophetic powers. The name of such beautiful maidens did not appear by coincidence. The word swan was derived from the concepts of white water, shimmer, and white. They are daughters of the sea and the ocean and dwellers of water. Swan-like maidens could solve any supernatural task for the sake of their loved ones. For example, an enchanted beauty in Tale of Tsar Sultan by Alexander Pushkin turned Prince Guidon into a mosquito, fly, and bumblebee. The artist creates the feeling as if we come into the world of mysterious incarnation. It is difficult to imagine what would happen in the next moment, whether a beauty will stay as a beautiful young girl or will appear again as a white swan. This is the birth of warrior son. We can assume that because the baby lies on his father's shield, which protects him and shows us his warrior's predetermination. The picture presents the Slavic idea of three dimensions of existence: the tangible world, where the boy was born, the world of gods, who bless the child and help him to become a warrior. They endow him with courage and power. The third world is the mysterious, invisible world. It's hidden from us. This is why people are afraid of it. You can see an ancient Viking ship landing at the shore. These are Vagri, or Varini, the Western Slavs, the brave defenders of the Baltic Sea. By the 7th century, Vagri settled on the eastern part of German land, where Schleswig-Holstein is situated nowadays. Their main fortification was Starigrad, where the residence of Prince and the sanctuary were located. Later, it was renamed as Oldenburg. A number of scholars identified Vagri and Varini with the Varangians described in chronicles. It explains that Cineus, Rurik, and Truver united northern Rus with ease and left no trace of any cultures different from the Slavic. The Norman theory about the invitation of Scandinavian rulers was invented by German scientists in the 18th century. This painting opens us a triptych about prophetic Oleg, the wise prince, united Slavic tribes and made Kiev the capital city and called it Mother of the Russian cities. In 907, Rusici, at the command of prophetic Oleg, outfitted shallow boats and moved toward Byzantium. The Greeks closed the entrance into the bay using chains. The prince went for an unusual attack. Oleg commanded his warriors to make wheels and attach them to the ships, and when the wind was favorable, they spread the sails and made their way toward the city from the open side. The frightened Greeks surrounded without a fight. To signify the victory, Oleg fixed a large dark red shield with a colorate symbol to the gates of Constantinople. This shield signified Russian glory and brave warrior spirit. This painting opens us a triptych about prophetic Oleg. The wise prince united Slavic tribes and made Kiev the capital city and called it Mother of the Russian cities. In 907, Rusici, at the command of prophetic Oleg, outfitted shallow boats and moved toward Byzantium. The Greeks closed the entrance into the bay using chains. The prince went for an unusual attack. Oleg commanded his warriors to make wheels and attach them to the ships, and when the wind was favorable, they spread the sails and made their way toward the city from the open side. The frightened Greeks surrounded without a fight. To signify the victory, Oleg fixed a large dark red shield with a colorate symbol to the gates of Constantinople. This shield signified Russian glory and brave warrior spirit. Zosim Lavrentiev lives and works in Yoshkar-Ola, the capital of the Republic of Marie El. He is honored artist of Russian Federation, the illustrator of dozen books, and founder of the first rural picture gallery in Marie El. According to the artist, the forest is a special spiritual temple. It is a school of harmony, purity, and goodness. When you go into the forest, you feel the presence of its spirit. You do not see him, but he is there. He loves making jokes, he is kind and artful, but sometimes he can be harsh. The wood spirit can be rude to those who see only natural resources in the wealth of a forest. For our ancestors, nature was a living substance. Warm, fragrant earth can breathe and speak to a man. Its voice can be heard in rustling grass and bubbling brooks. Everything around us is full of beauty and charm. The emptiness of a modern man's soul is striking. Nature has lost its sacred sense, and man has turned into a consumer of natural resources. Caring for nature starts with something small. Do not forget to collect all the litter after a picnic and put down a fire in the woods. You can see the representation of the most ancient Slavic funeral ceremony, burning the dead on the special fire, krada. This fire is sacred. It allows the soul to gain liberty from corporeal limitations with the ascending smoke and to reach Svarga, Slavic paradise for ancestors and gods. After death, the soul of a person is released to become the spirit protector of the king, and then it can be embodied again. The Slavs believed in reincarnation of the soul. Petrushka, Skomorokh, Bowser, Buffoon, Minstrel. There were many names for the masked singers and storytellers of Rus. They were the main participants of country fairs and performances in boyars' mansions. Skamaros were known as folk astrology experts. They always gave advice when to harvest, when to bury dead, and when to have a haircut. Now we see Petrushka on the porch in very cozy surrounding. The woven patchwork rug lies on the floor, and the wicker box is placed in the corner. You can almost feel the smell of wheat and hear the creaking floorboards. The motley haughty roosters behave as if they guard Petrushka. In the inner porch of an ancient Russian hut, a man and domestic animals could easily live together.